So with that, let's get started. We're just 2 minutes after the hour. We got a group here. I just mentioned we are recording this. So if you're on and you end up getting to a point where you realize, I got to bounce out, I got to take the kids somewhere, I got to fix something, or my power went out, we are recording this and you will get an email before the end of the day tomorrow to see everything that's here. And that's critical because today we have Becca Rice, head of product over at Jilt. And we're talking about lifecycle emails, or emails that help you win more and sell more in terms of the e-commerce context. I know you're going to love this. Becca's one of the smartest people I know in e-commerce. And that's not because she's a naturally brilliant person, though she is, but it's also because beyond just Jilt, her and her team have been building software products for e-commerce for years. And that means that they have touched all different kinds of stores. They have worked with all different kinds of customers. They have built all different kinds of features for online stores. So you cannot get around that level of experience, right? A lot of people build one little product, they do one little thing, and they do it over and over. They become an expert in that one thing. Becca and her team have been building a variety of features, right? They have more plugins than most companies on the WooCommerce store. They have a ton of different products and features they've built, and they've done it for tons of different customers. And they run a blog that is dedicated to selling with WordPress. And so there are very few people that I trust as much as I trust Becca to talk about just about anything in e-commerce and have a background that can justify having the conversation and the insights she has. So I'm excited to have her here today. Becca, take it away. Let's kick off with our slides.
Sure thing. You were like the best drug, by the way. That's like, I couldn't get that kind of hit from anything else, so thank you. Some kind words. So as Chris mentioned, we wanted to talk a little bit about lifecycle emails today and why they matter for a store, and whether those of you attending are running a store for someone else or running your own store, working with clients. These should hopefully help you set up effective marketing plans for your clients, because if they're making more money with you, they're happy. So we wanted to step into first what lifecycle emails are and give you a little bit of background just so we're all on the same page. So when we say lifecycle email, it's a term that some people are not quite sure what constitutes a lifecycle email or not. We're really focused on emails that are in response to customer behavior. So things that are going to engage customers throughout the journey with your store or your client's store. These emails are geared toward making sure that people have the experience that you want them to have with your brand or with your client's brand. So the best way to do these emails is usually in an automated way, but also a personalized way. You want to make sure that these emails are giving customers touch points with the store in a timely way and in a way that's highly relevant for them as they're shopping. So the first thing is there is a benefit to these emails for your customers. And a lot of people are, I think, sort of shy, especially in like a post-GDPR world, of reaching out to customers and communicating with them. And the best thing about lifecycle emails is when they're done right, they're done in a way that helps your customers. They're not done in a way that is seen as like direct marketing or is seen as an inconvenience, right? So for customers, lifecycle emails should be timely. They should provide information or assistance with purchasing. So if someone's before the purchase with your store, these emails should be giving them information about how to complete purchase, trying to uncover issues they might have had. If it's post-purchase, it should be giving them information about products, asking them questions, how can we improve? So timeliness and information is a key component of this. And they should help you engage buyers and gather feedback. So as a store owner or as someone working with a store, I need to make sure that every customer has an optimal experience. And to do that, you need to talk to these people. And lifecycle emails, when done correctly, give you perfect opportunities to do that. So it gives you touch points throughout that life cycle. But they're also really important for your store. And so as a store owner or as someone who's administrating a store or managing a store, you should know why emails are going to be most important for you. And they have the highest engagement, conversion rates, and average order value of marketing channels you're going to use, especially compared to social media. They also offer far more scalable personalization. And you can use segmentation and behavioral triggers to improve your customer relationship. So what I mean by that is, let's say that I've purchased from Chris's headphone store, which we all know he's got about 1 million headphones. And one of his test stores that uses Jilt actually is a headphone store. And so let's say, I've purchased Sony Bluetooth headphones. right? Well, by purchasing that and also by my behavior on site, Chris knows a lot about me, right? He knows that I'm looking for a moderately priced headphone. I'm not trying to go super high end, but I'm also really caring about things like Bluetooth connectivity and audio quality. But those aren't the most important things to me, right? A balance between that and price is if I purchase those headphones. So based on that, he can kind of make some inferences about me and send me automated emails to say, okay, you bought these headphones. Here's some things you're probably interested in. I'm going to also send you some educational troubleshooting tips about your headphones. And I'm going to make sure that you're happy with this purchase. So like a month from now, I'm going to ask you about your feedback because you're using them for a little while. You should know now, do you like them? Do they keep good connectivity with whatever device you're using? And I want to make sure I know this about products I carry too, so that I can improve my product descriptions and improve the information I give people up front about these items. So the best part about that is when you send these kind of emails, you'll notice based on this slide that those emails have much higher average order values than traffic that's driven from search or social media. They also have much higher conversion rates. So your conversion rate and average order value are going to be vital to your store, especially as you're starting out. And sending timely emails with a lot of information for customers is a way that you can improve your margins as a business. So that's a background overview. Before we move on to which kinds of emails, I'm curious, Chris, if there's other things there that you would add into based on your experience running stores.
Well, I think it's absolutely right. I got to tell you, right, the best stores that I've bought from in the last year are doing things in email that previously we just wouldn't have thought of, and yet are so simple. So I just bought a watch, or I bought 2 watches the other day, and I don't know of anyone who reads the manual on the watch, right? You just grab a watch and you're like, well, instinctively, I should know how this works. And so you throw the box away, you throw the little pieces of paper that were away. And so the watch vendor, 2 days after it delivered, sent me instructions on how to set the watch, how to use the stopwatch, et cetera, right? And it's stupidly simple, right? Because you're like, oh, I would have been, figuring it out. But if I had a bad experience trying to figure it out and I hadn't spent a lot of money, I just put the watch on the side and move on in life, right? So knowing, okay, the product was delivered, there is a configuration or setup associated with it, and sending an email 2 days after it's delivered just to make sure that you haven't had any issues is a simple dynamic, right? But it takes away the need for me having to go back and search, find the site, find the product, find the user manual, and read it there, right? It removes all that from me by just saying, oh, and this is what you're talking about in terms of life cycle. There's an event. I know that I can trigger something off that event, and I can give it to you in your inbox so that you don't have to go looking at all, right? And then, of course, my natural inclination is to be like, these guys are really great. I wonder what other watches they have there, right?
Exactly. Right. It builds that relationship and encourages loyalty, which is huge for especially small stores, right? And niche stores. Having customer loyalty that you can rely on for repeat sales is crucial to developing business and, getting referrals. And like when I get an email like that, I tell other people about that store.
Yep.
Which that kind of feedback email is actually one of the ones on our list today. So we'll start with kind of pre-purchase. Just because kind of going sequentially in life cycle. And so one of the ones that we started with very early at Jilt were abandonment recovery emails. And so this is an email sent to people before they purchase with your store. And we've all seen that Baymard Institute statistic, I think probably too many times now, about 68% of carts being abandoned, right? And it holds true. Our stats at Jilt certainly support that. We see somewhere between 65 and 70%, depending on industry. But a lot of the time, abandonment is not just random, right? It's not just people putting something in the cart and leaving. There are reasons they leave. And a lot of the time, they might encounter purchasing issues with checkout, such as load times, not if they're hosted on Liquid Web, obviously, but potentially with other places. And then they also might uncover unexpected costs. And so sending emails to people when they've left something behind in their cart helps you, as a store owner, improve that process. So if someone says, well, I wasn't sure about your return policy, that's an indicator to me that I should be making that return policy a lot more transparent. Or if they're saying, well, I wasn't crazy about shipping costs, right? This is an important way to gather feedback. And then we found that you can also recover tons of those carts. So at Jilt, our average recovery rate is 15%. So if we frame that a little bit, for a store doing, let's say, $10,000 a month in revenue, if they recover 15% of their abandoned carts, remember, they're gonna have 2 abandoned carts for every cart they've actually had a purchase completed for. That's typically a $1,000 to $3,000 increase in revenue per month just by implementing this kind of email. So we recommend focusing on customer service, focusing on encouraging the purchase, sending a series where you focus on the buyer journey first, and then later on focus on things, other sources of abandonment, like potentially offering a free shipping discount. I actually got this recently with a service Chris recommended about wine. And so we had been talking recently about a wine subscription. And so I'm a terrible shopper, first of all. I am the worst person to have on your store. So please don't share any of your links, because I abandon every cart just to see what happens, having come from a company that builds emails like this. And they did a great job. First of all, they asked me if I had questions. And so the first email I got was focused on that. I wish they would have waited a little longer, because I would have come back and purchased later on anyway. But then a few hours later, they sent me another email. They said, hey, you're not sure about this. I'm going to discount your first order by 50% since you'll love this subscription, which was great. I was very happy with it. Had they waited a little longer, they wouldn't have had to do that. But they did gain me as a customer, because I was like, well, I was going to buy anyway. I didn't have questions, but now that I got 50% off, I'm going to come back. And so having a sense of timeliness as well as addressing problems in these emails is a great way for you to generate sales and also improve your store browsing process and the buyer journey with your store before they get to purchase. So welcome emails are also a favorite of mine. And I think that this is something I've seen a lot of brands do really poorly, where the first time, you would think that it's something that you would do, but the first time you walk into a retail store, like, what happens? And this probably happens to you, Chris, every time, like, you're buying watches or something. What's the first thing that happens to you?
Yeah, the guy walks up and goes, hey, do you need any help, right? How can I help you? Welcome, whatever, right? And you're like, great. But what I don't want is for them to walk up when I'm casually browsing and be like, hi, how's it going? What are you looking at? What do you like? What do you normally wear? What do you want? And you're like, oh, dear God, right? So
Yeah.
there's a dance, right? You want to make sure you want to make sure that you get that first interaction done well, but that it's not too pushy. There's not too many of them. You know, the crazy part is when I get the welcome emails after I've made a purchase, right? So I make the purchase, and then I get, here's the receipt, and then here's the welcome email, and also here's the email from the CEO, and I get all 3 emails within 1 minute of each other. And then I'm like, somebody has, like, it's like you heard it on a webinar somewhere, you should do this. And then they were like, do it any way you want. I don't care how you do it, right? So I get 3 emails at once. I'm like, no, that's not how I want it. That's not how you build a relationship.
Exactly. You read my mind. There's a lot of brands that do exactly that. Either they are too pushy with their initial welcome email, or it's so close to other emails that it just feels like it's unnatural, is the way I always feel about it. So you should be thanking customers, right? You should thank them for their first purchase or joining your email newsletter or whatever they've done that you're welcoming them for. But really think about it in terms of, if you were in person, like, how would you want it to feel? They're important to me because they set expectations, right? So if I go into a store and someone comes up to me and says, oh, let me know if you have questions, like, that feels like a little bit of a brush off. But if someone says, hi, thanks for coming in today, is there anything I can help you out with? Like, I feel differently about that interaction. And so you should be conscious about that with welcome emails, that you want to target it around some first interaction with your store, whether it's a first purchase or signing up for your email list or something else that they've done. Maybe it's signing up for an account or forum or whatnot. And try to imagine that you're talking to that person face to face, and now gear your welcome email around that messaging. Because when you send these emails, they make your subsequent emails more likely to be read, because it establishes like a timeline and a relationship. So if I get a welcome email that says, hey, I noticed that 3 days ago you made your first purchase with our store. First of all, thank you so much. We really appreciate you choosing us over other alternatives. And now we're going to send you, a few emails about things that you might be interested in, and you can opt out at any time. But then also make sure that you establish what you want them to do next. And so, like, a welcome email is already sent because of a commitment. Your customer has done something. You've gotten them to commit to something, whether it was a purchase or some sort of action that's going to trigger this. So now try to get them to make another commitment and have them take the next step, whether that's logging in whether that's looking at your best sellers, whether that's updating a profile, have a single ask, because those welcome emails have absurdly high transaction rates. What we call a transaction rate is doing whatever the task you've asked them to do is, much higher than any other email. So think about that journey and that concept of walking into a store.
And the thing I would add to that is that one of the easiest things you can do in that welcome email is ask a question, right? Because so I buy a lot of high-end stuff, right? I go into a lot of boutique high-end stores. And so whether it's shoes or headphones or watches or pens or whatever, right? You go into these stores where they are highly trained salespeople, not the casual person who's just looking for a summer job, but highly trained salespeople who work off commission and know their business. So when you walk into a place like that, one of the first questions they ask you, right? If you walk into a Mont Blanc store where the cheapest watch is $5,000 and most of the watches sit at 10,000 or more, right? You walk into a store like that, the first thing that sales guy does, right? Hi there, how's it going, right? And looks at your watch. What are you wearing right now, right? And trying to figure out. But if let's say you're smart, right? So if I walk into a store like that, I take my watch off, throw it in my pocket, right? I don't want any hints, right? And what happens is person walks over, says, oh, I see you're looking at the Moonwalker. That's a great one, a Skywalker. I see you did this, that, okay. And then goes, what do you normally wear, right? Or what do you, it's a simple question, right? But take that out of the realm of high-end boutiques and watch stores, right? And imagine that you're just selling software, right? Imagine that you're just selling backpacks. Imagine that you're selling something simple. By saying that thank you to that first purchase and then asking the question, hey, what do you normally use? If you're coming to us from another product, what have you been used to? If this is the first time you're buying, right? Or if this isn't the first backpack you've ever owned, right? What's your favorite one? First of all, it's really easy to engage because you're not selling me anything, right? Your welcome email is starting a conversation, which again builds relationship, builds trust, creates a proxy effect that allows me to decide, yeah, I like this person, I want to buy more from them. But more importantly, they'll collect some information that if you're the store owner, you'll collect some data that could change all the rest of your emails, right? Because if someone says to me, oh, you know what, my favorite bag, right, is a $400 bag. Huh, ding, ding, put them in the VIP, tag them with VIP, tag them with high buyers, high-end products, etc. If someone says, well, I've used this JanSport for the last 20 years and haven't changed, you're like, okay, they're a loyal customer. Like, there's nothing wrong with knowing this stuff, but once you do, right, you don't have to be like, oh, well, that's a better customer than that. It's all great data because once you understand it and once someone's given it to you, you can tag that customer and it will change or could change the rest of the emails in that interaction. When I walk into that watch store and I say, well, I have one of these already and I own these guys and these guys, the guys immediately reclassify me into a different kind of buyer. And then they're like, okay, well, you know what? Now let's show you these others in the back room, right? And you're like, no, I'm not ready to mortgage my house yet.
Yeah, I love that. Backpacks are actually a great example for me because I've had that. I can't exactly put a backpack in your pocket, but walking into a backpack store and they're like, oh, you're wearing this. And now I'm going to change what I'm selling you. So the concept of getting that micro commitment of saying, where did you find us, or what were you using for this previously, is a great way to just start the ball rolling. And once people engage with you once, they're far more likely to engage with you again.
Yep.
Awesome. So welcome emails are one of my favorites, obviously, just because they're usually done so badly and there's no reason for it. But one that I think is also underutilized a lot are order confirmations. And so anytime you buy something, 9 times out of 10, people open the confirmation email for whatever they've purchased, right? There's almost never a situation in which you order something and you don't want to open the confirmation and make sure everything's right? So an order confirmation email has tremendous open rate. And the thing is, these usually are open more than once too, right? Often I'll look back and say, hey, I got that email from this store I just bought from. Let me go back and open that again because I want to, look at the delivery estimate or whatever was in that email, right? So because they have such high open and click-through rates, they're a great way to offer some sort of engagement point. So you should provide order information, but depending on what kind of products you sell, you can also invite some other engagement point. So that might be upsells or cross sells, right? So if we go to the example of backpacks, right? Maybe you want to sell me like a cache for my laptop or other accessories for my backpack, right? Like one thing I use a lot are hooks on the inside of my backpack. I have like little things like flashlights and all sorts of stuff because I keep a go bag apparently. And so I buy those little things, right? But you can also think about other touch points if you're not selling something that has complementary products. So it might be a feedback survey, right? Or it might be creating an account even. Doing something that offers another engagement point in these emails is a great way not to waste that opportunity, because people are going to open them, especially they've just done something with your store, right? They've just had some sort of transaction, which is a huge step. You've overcome every objection at that point. They're far more receptive to do something else. And it's similar to the welcome email. It's just trying to get them to do something else that brings them a little closer to your store and maybe even gives them a little bit more information. One I saw recently that I really loved was I got a confirmation email and it said, thanks so much for purchasing. We really appreciate it. Here's what you had. We love to send people birthday promotions. So would you update your profile and let us know when your birthday is so we can send you something? And so not only was that great because they can now directly market to me around my birthday and I'm going to welcome it. I'm not going to feel like it's out of the blue. But if I go to update my profile for my birthday, what else am I going to do? I'm probably going to update other things like my interest groups and things like that. So it was brilliant because it got me to click through and be like, oh yeah, well, here's my birthday month. They didn't ask me for the date, which was great too, because it didn't feel like it was overreaching. But I was like, yep, here's my birthday month. And yes, I want to receive these emails and this is the frequency I want. And now they've gotten all this data about me that was a very easy commitment for me to make in a way that felt really natural. So I love these emails. I love to utilize them for just more than giving people order information and saying like, hey, let's engage further. And then to your point previously about welcome emails, Chris, it's an easy thing, right? It's something that helps you qualify people a little bit further than you would have been able to otherwise. So
yeah, and you can put coupons on there, right? Like you can literally put hey, I'm going to give you 12 months access to our VIP program, and here's a coupon to join it, and you'll be a VIP, which will give you monthly discounts for free. You don't have to pay anything because you bought one of our nicer products. I just want to thank you so much. Whatever. You can put that whole thing, right? And you make it a banner, you make it a different color, and it stands out, and people read it and they go, oh, but because it's, it's in a document, in an email they're gonna open, they're gonna read, that's the best time to sit, they click a link and they're right in, right? Which is very different than you sending them another email saying, thank you so much for selling it, for buying this product, you're a VIP, I want to give you this gift. Not that those don't work, but it's even more effective on an email they open, right? So connect with that order confirmation because it is a place where people can click.
Yep. Yeah, I like to do that, especially if you have like a membership component or something like that. It's great to do it right away. I like to do, if you have like physical products that you're going to offer a coupon for, shipping confirmation is also really great for that. So it's just a little bit detached from when they paid you, that they're not like, oh, I could have used this discount 5 minutes ago. So you can kind of play with that too, depending on what you sell. But they're amazing emails, and people usually waste them a little bit, which is unfortunate because they're a huge opportunity. So moving right along, the next thing is to talk about feedback. And so kind of tied, I also see these often tied to educational emails, like you were talking about earlier with your watch example. Make sure that you improve the customer experience, which you can also use then feedback to improve your product experience. And then also gather social proof or product reviews. And so I think a lot of Amazon sellers do this really poorly, right? Where like you buy something on Amazon and then 7 days later you get like please leave a review on Amazon. And I'm like, I don't know what your brand was. So this feels a little bit out of the blue. If they had done a welcome email first, maybe I would feel a little bit differently about it. Say, hey, you bought something on Amazon. I just want you to know who this came from. This is our brand. This is who we are. And thanks for choosing our product on Amazon. So make sure that there's context, right? If you're running your own store, that's far less of a problem. But then ask people. Say, hey, did you love it? If you didn't, tell me. Like reply to this email and I will make it right. If you loved it, would you mind telling me what you loved about it? And even if you don't accept this as a product review on your site, just getting that feedback, and then you can use it as a testimonial elsewhere, even in future emails, which is a great way to use that social proof. Ask people for that feedback. And there's one thing that I hated about a store I was browsing recently, which was I couldn't filter their products, and I felt like it was something that was the kind of product you should be able to filter. And I got that feedback email, and I was like, you know what? I am going to tell you that I hate that. And then the next time I went to that site, I could filter products the way I wanted to. And so that's great for me as a shopper, because I feel like they value my feedback, and I feel like they're going to listen, and I'm much more likely now to engage with that business again because they listened to me and they asked me.
Now, here's the way to make it even better, right? If you're sending a feedback request and you get feedback that you decide to use, follow it up with another email telling the person that you implemented it, right? So instead of Becca having to find out on her own when she went back to the store and go, oh, look, they implemented it, you should email back Becca and go, Becca, we put it on a roadmap. That's another touch point. Then, Becca, we started working on that feature for you, right? Third, Becca, it's released in public. Thank you so much. You can go check it out. Oh my God, if Becca doesn't decide, okay, yep, you guys are amazing. I'm going to tell everybody this story, right? And that's word of mouth that you can't get any other way. So if you're asking for feedback and you decide, and maybe you get feedback from someone and you're like, this is the 4th time we've heard it and we're already going to do it. They don't know that. So follow back up with them and be like, oh, thank you so much, Chris. That was really great feedback. We're putting on the plan. I'm going to send you another note when it's public, right? And then, hey, Chris, it's finally done. Thank you so much for your help. People will feel like, oh my gosh, like they listen to me over there, right? So make sure you don't just ask for data and do nothing with it. Make sure you don't just ask for data and then go off and execute on it without connecting the dots. Circle back and make sure people feel like, oh, I really was listening.
Heard. Yep. And the great thing about that too is that it can kind of feel overwhelming for people to think about all of these touch points, but response rates for these emails are going to be low, right? It's really impactful though for people to have responded to you. And then the more touch points you have, the more likely like every subsequent email is to be read, to be clicked on, for customers to engage with you. And so it might feel like it doesn't scale, but it's pretty hard to get to a point where those kind of touch points don't scale. And if you've gotten to that point, you should be hiring people to do it for you anyway.
Yeah.
So the last of the ones that I think every store should be sending. We do have a few more that we'll kind of talk about a little bit, but I think you should also always be trying to win back your inactive customers. And this goes back to the concept of segmenting people. So even if I purchased from a store one time, it's not unreasonable that I would purchase from them again, right? And a lot of people feel like, oh, well, we have a lot of customers, they're once and done, and that's okay. How do you know? Like, if I've purchased something from your store, you've already got me to overcome all of the biggest hurdles, right? I trusted you enough to give you my money. I trusted you enough to get my order to me on time, whatever it was. I trusted you with my personal information, like with my name and address and email and all that stuff, right? So if I've had some sort of interaction with you, you've overcome a lot of hurdles already. And while you might think, you know, I'm selling you a product that you don't buy very often, like let's say a backpack, right? The last time I bought a backpack was 9 years ago. I don't necessarily collect them like some people, right? I have one that I love to use.
Don't judge.
I appreciate that I could ask you for a recommendation when I want my next one. But even if I bought one backpack in like the past decade, I'll buy other things for that backpack. And like one thing I love is the backpack I have has a cache system where like I can put my laptop in a little cache, and then that cache slides in and out of the backpack. And so that way it also like doesn't sit at the bottom of my backpack. It sits like in the middle of my back. And that's such a silly thing. But like once I bought one, I was like, oh, this makes it way nicer to carry around my laptop in my backpack. And the next time I get a laptop, I'm going to get a new cache for it. So even if you have a long life cycle for your products, you should win back people and re-engage them. And so sending those emails to me is welcome, because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I did get a new laptop, and I've been rolling around without a cache, and it's sort of frustrating. You just offer me a 10% discount, and now I'm going to go buy it. And these emails typically have a 10% re-engagement rate, which are sales you would have totally lost out on otherwise. They also help you make sure your email list is engaged, right? You don't want to be paying for people on an email list that aren't engaged with your brand. And so if you send a win-back email and someone doesn't open it, doesn't engage with it, prune them from your list, right? Don't be paying for people that are never going to come back and buy, but try to re-engage them. And so a lot of times I'll see people do this where they're like, hey, we've released some new products. since you last purchased, here's some things that you might be interested in, but I know that you like these things, so I'm going to show you these other products. And also, since you haven't purchased in a while, is there a reason why not? Here's a discount. There's a lot of ways you could approach this email and try to re-engage your customers and sort of bring them back to your brand.
One of my favorites is when you can connect some dots between winning someone that's inactive while also getting them to evangelize your product, right? If you can do that, that's a 2-for-1, right? So I worked with a client where we sent them an email after. So first of all, that particular store had a fall off rate of about 9 months. So if you hadn't made a purchase in 9 months, they just kind of knew this client has now gone inactive, right? So at the 8-month mark, they would send this email, right? And it was something that said, hey, Becca, we know that first of all, we thank you for being such a great customer, right? We love that you bought that backpack from us. It wasn't a backpack store, but we love that you bought a backpack from us. Well, and it wouldn't be a backpack because you wouldn't replace it in 9 months. But let's say it was, yeah, let's say it was something else, right? Where you're like, oh, you regular buy stuff, right? So anyway, they said, I want to thank you so much for your purchase, right? And this is great. Here's what we're doing a promotion right now, right? So if you want to replace your next, let's say it's vacuum cleaner bags, right? If you want to replace your next stack, we're going to do this discount for you, right? But we're adding another coupon that can't be used by you, but can be used for a friend. And you can send this to a friend and it's 75% off, right? And so what happens is the person goes, oh, you know what? I should buy some more, right? But also, I'm going to take this code and send it to someone else, right? In this case, the company was a jewelry company, and so it was awesome because not only did someone say, okay, I'm going to buy another set of earrings, but they literally went, I'm going to go tell my friends, right, that they should go get their first order from you, whatever, right? And so in that dynamic, you didn't just win back an inactive customer, you also got them to evangelize to people that weren't in your network, and you won another customer, right? A brand new first-time customer. And so you can be really creative with win-back emails in such a way that you're like, look, they're right at the edge. They're going to fall off. I might as well see if I can bring them back in. And if I can do anything else to drive more revenue from unexpected resources, right, then even better.
Right. I love that. Especially people love to give other people stuff. Yep. Right. And so if I can give one of my friends a huge discount on something, I'm absolutely going to do it. If I think they'll love it or they're into it, like that's a great way for me to build a closer friendship with those people. So giving people a way to sort of give away something else to other people is a really cool idea. I like that a lot. Awesome. So of those 5 kind of emails, I think they apply to almost every brand selling online, right? There's no reason for any store to not be sending these. So if it's your store or you're working with clients, these are all things that you should absolutely be doing. But there are multiple emails that you could be sending outside of these for customer lifecycle. And so it depends entirely now on what kind of store you have. But some of my favorites that I see really great engagement with and really great sales from are a few of these emails. And so one of them, which is really cool, you can do this pretty easily with Liquid Web actually using Glue, is that you have a segment generated for your VIP customers, right? Your top tier people. And you can take that list of people and just say, like, I want to contact these people. Like, here's the ones that are really going to drive sales for me. Reward those people, encourage their loyalty. Say, you've spent this much money with us, or you've placed this many orders. That depends kind of on your store. If you have a lot of high ticket items, order count is usually a great thing. Like if you've bought something expensive and you've returned, I should thank you for that. If you have a store that sells like lower ticket items, you might want to base it on, just total spend, like once you reach $500, and say, you know what, I appreciate you. I want to give you that discount that you can share with friends, or I want to give you special access, like a free membership or discounts or something like that. Reward your VIPs, but also tied to that, tell people when they're almost VIPs. And so not only do you want to reward your VIPs, but say, okay, now this is my VIP segment. It's people that have spent above $1,500 with my store, right? Okay, cool. Now I'm going to contact those people, make sure that they feel appreciated, and make sure that they get like the special treatment, right? But now let's take all my people that have spent $1,000 to $1,500 who aren't quite yet VIPs. let me give them a look through the window, right? I look at the other side and say, hey, we really love VIPs here, and we want to give you all this exclusive stuff, like a membership to get discounts and stuff you can share with your friends. And we notice you're close to that, so here's a discount for your next purchase, or here's some stuff you might be interested in, and try to bump people up to those tiers as well, and create this system of loyalty and this system of, when you come to my store, I value you, and I'm going to show you that I value you. And do that for people who meet that, but also let people who don't quite meet that know that that's a thing, and encourage them to come back to you. That's one that I think a lot of people sort of do, but they don't do in a way that's scalable and automated, and that's completely possible to automate and to do. As soon as someone reaches that like threshold that's like not quite a VIP, you know, schedule an email to them. Say, okay, in like 21 days, tell this person like you're almost a VIP, or whatever your typical purchasing life cycle is, and build that sort of loyalty with your brand, that people are like, yeah, I want to be part of that club. I want to get those member discounts, or I want to get those things that I can share with friends, because that's going to give me better relationships. And that's pretty cool that this brand is just going to give that away to me. So that's a fun one. Replenishment emails is one that is a little bit more difficult, but think about this. If you sell coffee or anything that gets used and people order it again, right? Coffee is just a really easy example. Tell people that they've probably run out of it. I forget everything. And so when I buy something, I run out, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I should get that. And then I'll wait a little while, and I'm like, oh yeah, I meant to get that, I didn't get it. And then like 3 weeks go by. I'm like, okay, like I've gone to Starbucks every day this week because I have no coffee in my house. Why didn't I just order coffee? Right? Or the one with me is like haircuts. Like I schedule them in advance usually, but like when I forget, my salon does like an amazing job with this, because like if I go like 2 weeks past when I should have scheduled it, they're like, hey, we noticed you haven't come in a while. Did you forget to make an appointment? Here's like a, click this link and you can make one with your previous stylist. It's brilliant, because I'm like, yes, I did forget and I've been postponing it. Let me just do that now. So any kind of cycle where something happens again and again with your customers, remind them, because a lot of times they are busy. And they just totally forget, and they would welcome saying, oh yeah, I didn't mean to order some more coffee, or I meant to order some for friends, or share that with other people. Thanks for the reminder, I'm going to do that. And even if it goes past like your typical lifespan, say, hey, do you not like this coffee anymore? Why not? Or what would bring it back? If they give you feedback, adjust the time cycle, right? So you can tag customers with, okay, these people typically take longer to purchase than most people do, but still send them those reminders on a different schedule then. So reminders are something that's totally crazy to me, that most brands who sell a product or who have a service that is used multiple times, they don't do it. Pet food, like everything. I mean, it's just such an easy win. So the final one that, again, depends on your brand. If people come back to you a lot, make sure you thank them and make sure you cross-sell to them. So I would kind of give the example of backpack accessories earlier. I'm looking at my backpack like everyone else can see it. But when you have accessories for something, or something that people purchase multiple times, thank them for doing it and make sure they have a reason to continue to do it. And so let's say that I've purchased, laptop caches 3 times now, right? Make sure that you tell me, thank you for doing that you appreciate my loyalty. Make sure I'm tagged as a loyal customer so that you know this about me. And then make sure that maybe I get first access. Or if you're looking for people to say like, hey, we developed this new system, it's a little bit different. We would love some feedback. Would you be willing to give us some feedback if we send you, a free sample? And those people then become brand evangelists when you thank them for their loyalty and when you give them something that's different from other people. And it can even be, free simple stuff like free samples, or coupons to other stores, even if you want to do some co-marketing, which is a great way to start to build that customer network as well. If I've partnered with a store that sells something that's a related product, and even my people who are repeat customers, I might say, hey, we appreciate you buying this stuff. We noticed that you bought 3 pen holders for your backpack cache. I'm going to give you some coupons for zebra pens because you might be wanting pens to fill these caches with, and engage them in a way that gives them something they need, and then could maybe also give you some co-marketing opportunities with ancillary products or services as well.
Exactly right on.
So with that said, a lot of this is all about empathy, right? And that's kind of what I always circle back to with people who are like, okay, what other kinds of emails can I be sending How else can I be communicating with my customers? Think about your customer journey and like really care deeply about what people are doing with your store. Like, why did they visit you in the first place? What is it like to go through the shopping experience with your store? Even if you don't want to do like play with things on your live site, like set up a staging site and treat yourself like a customer. Go through the whole thing. Make sure you've experienced every touch point with your store and try to make it wonderful. Like, so if I leave something behind, tell me, ask me what went wrong. If I purchase something, make sure I'm happy with it, right? Ask me for feedback, re-engage me. If I haven't been with you in a little while, make sure that you say, hey, welcome back. It's all about having empathy and trying to put yourself in your customer's shoes and doing as much customer development as you can to really improve that buyer journey with you. And that's what the greatest brands that have like a loyal following are doing. They're making sure that people love the experience with them. Even more so if you have great products, but people have to love the experience of shopping with you. And if they're frustrated with that experience or they feel like it's disconnected, they're not going to come back to you. And building that through email and through customer communication is a vital way to do that when you're selling online. So with that said, we've kind of gone through everything there. I'm curious, so just to wrap up, are there any brands you feel like, Chris, you've seen this do really well?
It's a great question. So I think I have several. I have several companies that do several ones of these well in different realms. But I'll be honest, right? It's because I end up buying some high-end stuff, right? So then people in that realm really focus on it, right? So if you're buying stuff from Mont Blanc, pens, wallets, watches, they're pretty good at it. There are some. If you're staying at the Ritz-Carlton, they're phenomenal at this, right? And they do things like, we know you've stayed at these two properties. Because you've stayed at these two properties, we think you'd really like this promotion we're doing at this third property, because they're thinking about lifetime value, right? And they want to just keep bringing me back. So there are some companies that do that really well. Of course, not everyone wants to spend the kind of money to experience an email from those players. So I just bought this watch, which you can't see because of the glare, right? But these guys did a great welcome, a great follow-up, stuff, and I think the watch was like $100 or something, right? So I think there's companies like this are super awesome at doing this kind of stuff. Let me get you the name of these guys just so that I spell it right, because it's VINCERO, vincerocollective.com. And those guys seem to be doing some pretty good stuff when it comes to the Lifecycle emails.
Yep. I would say that for me, when I look for inspiration, I agree that it's really hard to find a brand that does a lot of it really well. So one thing I would do is go to reallygoodemails.com. And when we have merchants who are looking for inspiration, we send a lot of them here and like work with them to say, okay, which kinds of these things do you like? Which sort of represent your brand? Let's try and build some emails that look like that. Because what you can do is filter by email type. And it's a really cool resource to say, okay, I want to send some welcome emails. Show me some examples of welcome emails. And you'll have like a couple hundred to look through and get some ideas. And then what I do usually is if I see a brand that I think has a cool email, I might check out their products, or especially like I'll check out their abandoned cart or welcome emails, like sign up for an email list or something like that, just to see what they do and try and learn from what other people are doing. So really good emails is one that I think is super helpful to kind of just even get ideas for your own Lifecycle emails and how they present things and get inspired.
Yep. And not that I want to encourage more people to abandon carts, but it's amazing. We started talking about bright sellers at the beginning of this piece, right? And we were talking about this wine subscription service that Becca had joined, and she said they sent me an email, and then they sent me within a couple hours they sent me a discount code, right? Not everybody does that, but a lot of people do. And so if you are thinking of buying anything, right, stick it in your cart and then close your browser, right? Doesn't matter what you're buying, right? And you'll see what happens. So Wayfair does this thing, right? Where Wayfair, when you're buying furniture, Wayfair will send you an email that says, hey, did you forget about this? Hey, I want to let you know it's still here, right? And so they're following up to let you know, and you're like, oh, this is really good. of course, Wayfair doesn't send you the discount, right? And so then you're like,
oh, they
bummer.
do they send you one for a welcome email, which I did recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you just stick it in your cart and you close it, right? They'll send you reminders, but they don't. But there are other stores, of which I don't want to name, that you put something in and you close browser, and then like clockwork, tomorrow morning I'm gonna have here's a coupon code, right? And I'm like, this is awesome, right? Now I will give you this one little tip that I've given some other people. If you're gonna send those abandoned cart emails, right? That is the whole, hey, and I want to give a coupon. You may want to get super strategic about it, right? Instead of sending the coupon for the actual product they put in their cart, put a coupon in there, give them a coupon for an adjacent product, right? So if someone was looking at toothpaste, send them a coupon like, hey, I saw that you were looking at toothpaste. Just want to give you this 50% off for toothbrushes, right? Now you get the toothpaste that you were going to get before at full price, and you get them to buy another product at half off, right? Which is better than sending the coupon for the toothpaste, right? Because now you only make half the money that you were going to make. So you can be intelligent about how you send these out, and it becomes even more valuable, right?
And if you're the person that does emails, don't do the discount right away.
Yeah, or don't send the discount right away. But I learned that trick from a friend of mine who was like, just put it in the cart and walk away. I'm like, no, I like instant gratification. I want the feeling of buying it. And they're like, you're dummy, right? Just put it in and walk away. You'll get a coupon, and then you'll buy it for a discount. They're like, all right. If they send it to me within 1 day, I'm willing to wait 1 day, right? But I'm not going to wait a week to get the email, right? And so it can be fun.
What we do at Jilt as well is we have people set up multiple abandonment campaigns. And what's been really cool is merchants who, like, let's say your average order value is $50, right? Any cart that's under $50, don't include the discount. In your email series, tell people when they get a discount. And so make them add more things to the cart. And then if their cart value is over $50, now include the discount code. And that's been kind of cool to see too. It's sort of like a different wrinkle in the, don't always send the discount, don't send it for those things. Try to force higher average order values too. Similar to like how a lot of people do like free shipping for orders over X dollars.
Yep. No, that's exactly right.
Cool. So I think we got a few minutes left.
Yep, and we got a couple of questions.
Yeah, you want to move on to those?
Yep. So one of the questions is, hey, how are websites capturing your email prior to a sale? And that's a great question, Joseph. Most aren't. So a lot of times, one of the first triggers or events is someone making a purchase. But you might be having an e-commerce store on a site that has content, right? And so you might get comments from people. You might have forms that are inquiries about the product. Like you might show a product page with a, hey, ask us a question, and you might get inquiries. So depending on how you design your site, you may be in a place where you are getting some people's emails beforehand, right? And then of course you can use products, and I'll let Becca talk about Jilt, right? That sometimes you can say, hey, I'm interested in this product, right? And you put it in their cart, but they've also given you an email. They may have subscribed to the store itself, and then they haven't finished, right? And so then you can obviously do a follow-up because people chose to give you their email in advance, and you're helping them by saying, did you forget what was going on?
Yep, exactly. What we've found really successful is we have a popover that when someone adds something to the cart, says, hey, do you want to reserve this item? And enter your email and we'll save it for you. And then people can put their email address in as they add the item to the cart, which makes more carts recoverable for you. So that whole concept of like a recoverable versus an unrecoverable cart, right? If I have an email or I don't, certainly you have a lot of unrecoverable carts, but if you can collect an email in some way, especially if it's part of that purchasing experience, like asking for it on the product page or even making some customizations on the cart page, those are cool ways to try and increase the number of recoverable carts you have.
Yep. And then we have another question from Charlotte. How do you feel about sign-up forms?
They're great.
I don't really know what kind of sign-up forms you're talking about, right? Like sign up for the store, sign up for a newsletter. What kind of sign-up forms are you talking about, Charlotte?
Right. So I feel like I can speak to how they're implemented, which I have strong feelings on. But in general, like asking people to sign up for something is a great micro commitment. If you do it when they first visit your site, I get very upset. So we've probably all landed on a site and you have like that splash page immediately that's like, sign up for the email newsletter. I'm like, whoa, whoa, I just got here. Like that's like walking in the door and like saying, can I get your email address? It's like, you know, like maybe ask me out to dinner first, you know? And so a lot of sites that do this really aggressively, I think can be off-putting for some people. So use sign-up forms liberally, but try to do it in a way that's contextual.
And then let's see. Confirmation when someone signs up for email subscription.
Got it.
Right.
So
okay,
I would group that into welcome emails.
Yeah, and you're talking about, like, I think she's talking about in general sign-up forms as it relates to subscriptions, emails, newsletters, et cetera, right? And I think to Becca's point, I don't have any problem putting a form in front of someone that says, would you like to get more information? Click here. I find that they're more valuable if you target the forms in the product spaces so that you can be more specific. Like, do you want more information about backpacks? You're looking at a backpack, and I'm going to put a subscription for the category of product, because then people are like, yes, it's backpacks. I don't want your information from your whole store because I'm not buying these other things, right? And so putting subscription forms in category places and making it more specific are very helpful. But notice I'm telling you, it's after I know something about you. Like I know that you went into a backpack product and you're looking at it, and then I show it there. That's contextual and intelligent. When you land on my website and I pop it up in front of you and I know nothing about you, right? That's extreme and crazy. Pop-ups work, but they work best, right, when they know something about you, when they're contextual, right? My friends over at Opt-in Monster,
I was just about to use that as a suggestion.
They do really smart stuff where depending on what you've been browsing, right, they can go, oh, okay, now if you've browsed through these pieces and you're leaving from this page, the pop-up offer as you leave will be one offer. And if you were browsing through other pages and left off a different page, the pop-up is something different. And the offer in each is different, right? And so then you're like, oh my gosh, if I was looking at a backpack and it said, hey, learn the 5 tricks to carry dirty, sweaty clothes without making your backpack stink, give me your email to click this one, and you go, that's brilliant. Of course, you would never put that on when I'm looking at buying watches, right? And so in the watches, it would be like, hey, did you know that almost every watch needs to be wound, and certain cases automatically wind watches better than others? Check out our buying guide, right? And you're like, yep, okay, let me put in my email, right? So there's nothing wrong with asking for someone's email. It's make sure that the value exchange makes a lot of sense. Make sure that it's contextual based on what you know from the customer, so that you're actually delivering something that they're like, yeah, this is good, this is useful. Because popping up, hey, I'll give you 5% off if you give me your email, and you're like, I don't even know what you have here. How would I know if I want 5% off, right? And by the way, right? We have a store on Liquid Web that the average product price is under $2, right? Do you think if you're coming to a store with the average product price under $2 that you need 5% off? What is that, 2 cents, right? You're like, no, I don't need that. I'm not giving you my email for 2 cents, right? So you want to be super smart. As we wrap this up, I should highlight one last thing, right? Liquid Web offers a managed WooCommerce platform. And some of you are like, okay, what is managed WooCommerce? What's the whole point of managed WooCommerce, right? And you go, well, let me give you the quick rundown, right? Our product has features in it, right? So like image compression, image CDN, lazy loading on images, dynamic segmentation, right? So there are things that are for, Jilt integration, right? We integrate with Jilt and offer you Jilt. You don't have to go buy a subscription to Jilt so that you can do all these emails. That's part of the product. Then the platform has stuff, right? Dynamic scaling, the ability to do changing how you process orders so you have higher concurrency if you're doing a lot of orders. And then we have Woo expertise, right? We have people who will look and say, just today, we have a customer who, for the last week and a half, we did analysis of their plugin for Marketplace. We analyzed their code, discovered there was a better product, helped them with the migration. Literally, our staff is doing work for them, right? And then today they launched with a new platform, right? The new plugin. We have WooCommerce experts who can help you run your store better. So Liquid Web is happy to host this webinar. Liquid Web is happy to tell you about Managed WooCommerce and our offering. And we're especially happy to tell you that Jilt is one of our premier partners, someone we trust, someone we know brings a huge value to the system. And frankly, I'll be honest with you, we don't think you should run a WooCommerce store or any e-commerce store without Jilt or any kind of product line that does all of these things. And some of you are going to say, yeah, but I can find a plugin, right, for $20, and then I can configure all the emails to my heart's content. And if you do that, right, I want you to write my email down, right, chris@liquidweb.com, so that you have someone to write to later when your store falls apart. Because when you're asking your store to be an email service provider instead of just being a transactional store, right, when you say, oh, I want to do carts, but I also want to do analysis, I want to do queries, I want to do joins, and I want to send out emails, and I want all that to go perfectly, right? When you realize that that's a bad call and that you need a SaaS or an external person, external system to send out emails, then you're going to write me back and go, okay, what were you talking about again? And you go, right. We believe that every WooCommerce store, right, should use Jilt, and every WooCommerce store should make sure that they're not sending emails from their store server. So we're a big fan of Jilt, so much so that it's in our product line, right? So if you are looking for that, but if you're not hosting with us, and there's lots of people that aren't, right, you still want to go check out Jilt because all of these kinds of emails that she's talking about are part of their product line and things you can do very easily.
I would say if you're not hosting with Liquid Web, you should reconsider your choices. Having worked with over 80,000 WooCommerce stores directly at Skyverge, which is the company that owns Jilt, I can say that there's a lot of problems that are solved by great hosting. And so we've been migrating a lot of larger sites that we work with to Liquid Web and having great success doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I will end by telling you that we did record this webinar. We will make sure that it gets out to you. Wait for that email, right? Don't contact us. I promise it's coming to you, but it'll be the end of tomorrow rather than 2 minutes from now. So look for that recording and hope that you've had a really great time today. Thank you so much, Becca. This was awesome. We'll schedule another one and do something else soon together.
Yes, thanks a lot. Cheers, y'all.
Take care, everyone.